The life of a single mom started out of my own story and out of feeling like as a single mom, I was walking alone. My need for a support group is what really launched the Life of a Single Mom Ministries. Our motto is, no single mom walks alone. We believe that if a single mom has a place that she can walk in and she is surrounded by other single moms who understand her journey, it's going to change her life.
Hey, this is Jennifer Maggio with the Life of a Single Mom video series. We are so excited that you have joined us. God has been doing an amazing work over the course of the last few years through our social media presence and through our videos. And I know that this video today is going to bless you because my dear friend Crystal Tullos is with us today.
Hi, everybody.
From Boston, Massachusetts, up in the New England area. And she's with me in Louisiana. She's kind of a Louisiana girl, though.
I was here for a decade.
Yeah, she was here for a decade.
Yeah.
And she and I met years ago as she was my kid's youth pastor, and she has just been a blessing to the Life of a Single Mom for years now in a lot of different capacities, and has ministered to a lot of single moms through the years as well.
Yeah. Really, the honor is all mine. I love this ministry. I love being a part of it. I want to give my time to it. I think it's awesome.
That's so amazing that she's a church planter, and for those of you who have no idea what that means she's super busy, and she is a mom of 4 kiddos, 4 kids. Like, I have 3, and sometimes I'm about ready to pull my hair out. So 4?
4.
Kudos to you.
12 through 3.
Oh, wow. So you have your hands full.
Yes, we are.
So you have probably experienced at some point in the journey this fear that you weren't doing it good enough.
Oh, every day. Like, let's see how I can screw up my kid's life right now, you know?
Right.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and just validate that
Yes.
that is a normal thing with moms, is that we always kind
Absolutely.
of fear that we're not doing something right, or we're not doing it good enough, or we could have done it better.
100%.
Yeah, and I mean, truthfully, sometimes we can have done it better in a previous incident,
Sure.
but we tend to be our own worst critics, don't you think?
100%. I started telling myself early on as a parent, Crystal, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
This fear of failing, it's valid because you're gonna,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But if you will just keep at it, if you will just continue to be consistent and to tell your children how much you love them, and you'll say sorry for when you do mess up, and you'll try to get better, then it's all going to be okay. You know, I think trying to be perfect all the time is just exhausting.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's, yes, I have been scared to fail. I have failed, but I'm not going to live in the fear of failure because that's exhausting.
Yeah, that's so true. Tell us about some of the things that you have struggled in as a parent. Like, what are some things that you're like, hey, you know what, that's been hard for me?
I lose my temper. I have a pretty short fuse. I feel like I'm a patient person, which I know sounds kind of awkward, or opposite. I do. I feel like I'm patient, but when I get to the boiling point, whether it's just, work has piled on top, finances have piled on, my marriage has piled on, just now the kids and the clutter of the house. And I feel like I'll be patient, but then eventually I just hit this boiling point. And, I'll just get to this point where I just snap. And unfortunately, I have failed in that area. I mean, I've cussed at my own children before.
Yeah.
I've wanted to strangle my 11-year-old. I have said cuss words to him. And, I've said things that made my kids go, they just couldn't believe I was acting that way. And, I have failed. I have not done it right. But I try to be transparent about that. I think that's one thing our church loves about Tyler and I is we are very transparent because I just think gone are the days where pastors are fake and we have it all together. We're human, and we make mistakes with our kids.
Yeah. I was thinking about, you're talking about cussing your kids. I can remember driving to church one Sunday, 10 years or so ago, and it was one of those chaotic Sundays, and I mean, I'm cussing pulling into the parking lot, and so you feel all of this guilt of that you're creating all this irreparable damage in your kids' lives. And I think for me, having walked through many years of abuse, that fear of failing was so real to me because I had seen my dad fail in a lot of ways, fail to protect me and fail to be present in my life. And although many years have gone by and I've certainly forgiven him, I didn't want to duplicate that in my own home. And so the fear was very real to me. It was very tangible that my kids could become that. And it ruled much of my parenting. Parenting out of fear is not, I mean, it's so exhausting.
It's exhausting.
You know, it's
That's the
like,
word, yeah.
you know, the what if scenarios.
Absolutely.
I think fear is always the what ifs
Yeah.
that really aren't anything.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time there's no legitimacy whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's
Fear is it's a liar.
right.
It creates a false perception of our worst nightmares.
Yes.
That we think are becoming reality, and they're really not. And I always have to remind myself that in heaven, the fear is not even in the vocabulary, that it's nowhere in the language. And so anytime I'm starting to be fearful, and so I begin to make choices based out of that fear, I realize, and I have to just kind of push pause and have to just kind of silence in self and just say, hey, why are you making this choice? Why are you acting this way? Why, you know, and that kind of takes me back to, okay, I'm doing this out of a position of fear. And so if I'm not fearful in this, how would I react? How would I respond?
Right. It's almost like, would you agree that fear of failure in parenting can hinder your children's successes? Do you feel?
Yes, absolutely. Because you're not giving yourself the permission to be you.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, sure, we all have had hard lives, and we had crappy parents maybe who did really bad things to us, and we don't want to turn into our mother, you know, like I get that. But at the end of the day, you also got good things and good qualities from your parents. And I think, you know, you just need to give yourself permission to be you, because your kids need you to be the most authentic self of you.
Right.
And so when you just walk around with handcuffs all the time, and you're not the truest version of who you are, you know, body, soul, and spirit, then I think it really does clip the wings of your children, because guess what? They have your traits as well, the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah.
And so if you don't model for them how to be fully human, redeemed, you're going to make your mistakes, and you don't model for them failing and how to make it right after failing, then they're going to be ill-equipped to go into this world.
No single mom is sitting at home saying, you know, this premeditated plan of how she's going to abuse her children.
Of course.
It's always an escalation of exhaustion and stress and fear. And so that's what happens is this this residual effect. Fear not only mobilizes you, but it then, you know, it hinders how your children perform, and then it also can cause you to even abuse your children, which we already know perpetuates abuse later in other generations. And so there's so many things that we have to address it. Like, we can't just pretend that it's not a bondage in our life. We have to begin to address
100%.
it. So let's talk about, how do we address it? Like, what are some things that we can do to be free of that bondage?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing to be free of that bondage is I've been going to counseling, and I've been sitting down with it. And I know there's so much stigma around mental health counseling, and, you know, going to get the support you need, and, you know, you don't want to do that. We've even created a fund at our church for people to go to counseling, because you know, you don't want to pay your copay for your insurance, or it costs too much. We just don't want there to be any reason. I think there's so much health and wisdom in sitting down and really talking through with a trained professional on these fears that you're carrying. Because really, I think fear is just a mirror of your past and things that really wounded you and hurt you, and you don't even want to let that happen, or you don't want to become it, or whatever. And so I've been sitting down with a counselor and just going, you know, weekly, and as painful and as awkward as it first was, now I enjoy it, because it does take time, you know, to develop that relationship, but really just sitting down and going, okay, why am I scared of that? Like, literally, why does this hold me back? You know, and this trained professional knows the questions to ask, knows the places to take me back, and the process by which to do it. That really has helped me. And so I would encourage every mom in here, you know, there are programs available for free mental health counseling, especially as a single mom. You may have benefits that are accessible to you. I would suggest, you know, if you have to with your pastor, I think pastoral counseling, though, is different than mental health counseling. So I'm always really, I want you to be cautious, you know, to get the right help that you need. But I think that's definitely something that you can do to help, you know, battle that fear that you're bringing into your parenting with.
Yeah. As we close today, and I appreciate so much those thoughts, as we close today, I just want to say to you out there, if you know that fear is a real bondage for you, and this idea of you having the white picket fence and the husband and wife in a family together, and it didn't work out that way for you, has really hindered you on being a successful single mom, I just want to tell you that being rooted in the truth of what God says about who you are is critical to your success. So you need to understand you are good enough. You are worthy. It's not by accident you have those children. You are equipped because God has equipped you for such a time as this. And so stand on the truth of that. Go back to it over and over and over. Even when you don't feel that way, keep going back to what God's word says about you and continue to stay the course. It is a journey, ladies. It is a journey. We love you. Thank you for joining us. This has been Jennifer Maggio and Crystal Tullos with The Life of a Single Mom.